Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Mole Trap here, coming at you with a video to introduce a series of videos that I will be putting out very soon. I wanted to do an entire series, and I've done a couple individual leagues, and I was thinking, you know what? Maybe it's time to do a team league series. So what I'm going to be doing for you guys is I'm going to be doing all of the games of the entire postseason from the 2006 SKY Pro League, and I'm going to put up the brackets or the results of the different sessions in a second. So if you for some reason want to watch the entire Pro League somehow before watching this, you can feel free to. But I'm just going to be casting the playoffs and the finals, and so I'm making this video to explain the format of the playoffs and the finals, and just kind of go over some of the basics of what's going to be going on. So here comes the results for you guys. So basically the way that it works with the Pro League in this era is they had 2 rounds during the year. They had 1 round during the first part of the year and a second round during the second part of the year. And so here's the results from the first round, and then the second round was this results. So you can see actually very different teams ended up in the final, the top 4 in each half of the season, but then they actually have a final for the whole thing. So basically this is how it works. You have the first half, it's called round 1, and you play the entire however many weeks it was. I guess it was 10 weeks since they all have 10 games. And basically the top 4 placing teams from those from that round end up in the playoffs. And what happens is this: the 4th place plays the 3rd place team, then the winner of that plays the 2nd place team, and then the winner of that plays the 1st place team, and then the winner of that is the actual champion for round 1. So NBC Game could win 3 matches in a row and become the champion, or SK Telecom could just wait around and then play whoever beats them in the final and win the championship as well. So the way it works is you get higher seeded for the playoffs. And it's kind of interesting to look at this. It was actually a 4-way tie for first place essentially, but the points, which is which represents how many more wins you had than your opponents, is how they got the tiebreaker there. I'm not sure how they decided between Seoul and Magic Ends as far as which one of those got 2nd or 3rd, since they have the same point spread, but you get the idea. And so Pantech X was 1 behind with 6-4 record, but they were pretty low on points, so they probably wouldn't have been able to break the tie anyway. So anyway, so that's round 1. You have a round 1 champion, right? And that's at the end of round 1. Then you have round 2, and it's another 10 weeks of team play. And you can see it's actually interesting that it's very different teams in the top 4. Top 3 are completely different, and NBC Game Hero is 4th place in both seasons, or both halves of the season. And SK Telecom did extremely well in the first half and rather poorly in the second half. Seoul got a little bit less as well, and the Magic Ends did very, very badly in the second half as well. So just kind of interesting to see how that happened. So, but anyways, I didn't want to do all million bajillion games, but I figured this is 7 best of 7s, because you've got 1, 2, 3 for round 1, 1, 2, 3 for round 2, and then the grand finals as well. So 7 best of 7s is a lot of games. I think it's a good series that we're going to do. So again, so you have round 1 champion, and then for round 2, at the end of that, you have again the 3rd and 4th place teams play. The winner of that plays the 2nd place team, and the winner of that plays the 1st place team, and then the winner of that is the round 2 champion, and then the round 1 champion and the round 2 champion play against each other, and one final best of 7 at the very end to determine who is the entire Pro League champion for that entire year. And it's such a long process that actually the 2006 SKY Pro League Championship took place in early 2007, because it was a long league. So anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to kind of go over that, and I also want to talk about the maps a little bit. It's a different map pool than we might be used to. So let's see. Oh, did that work? Looks like it did work. Okay, cool. So yeah, I want to talk about the maps real quick, since it's better to kind of review all the maps at once, I think, instead of I'll probably go over them all as I do the games individually as well, but at least I want to get a kind of an overview of all the maps, so I don't have to cover all the maps every single time. You can kind of just come back and watch this and check out all the maps if you're not sure beforehand. Some of these you might know and some you might not. So these are all the maps. So round 1, 8:15 Rush Hour Pioneer, but you can see it, you can read it for yourself. And then the ones on the right are the 2v2 maps. Special maps for the 2v2s. Yes, we're gonna be getting some 2v2 action in this series, ladies and gentlemen. So these are the maps, and you can see that a couple of the maps stay the same between round 1 and 2. And one of the 2v2 maps stays the same, but the rest actually change out. So let's go over each of the maps real quick. So first of all, from round 1, Peaks of Baked Dew is not showing up. Oh, wait, there we go. Hold on, sorry. I'm kind of, I'm not doing this super professional, highly produced because I don't have time to do that, but I'm trying to make it a little bit interesting so I can explain it in some good detail. So anyway, so here's Peaks of Baked Dew. Notice this is not Shin Peaks of Baked Dew, which I've casted some games on before from individual leagues in like 2007. This is Peaks of Baked Dew, which is similar to Shin Peaks of Baked Dew, but it's reversed. Instead of a high ground main, you have a low ground main leading up into Weird Natural. And then there's these very small choke points in the middle. So if you want to go directly to your opponent's base, there's tiny choke points that you can block with like one zealot. But you can also go around, and it's a longer distance, but it's more difficult to block. So this is Peaks of Baked Dew. It's a very, very fun map. Excited to see some interesting games on it. Another map is 8:15, which is, I guess, probably where 8:15 got his name from. And I think this is a map, it's hard to tell on this picture, but it looks almost like it's an island map, but I think I've gotten fooled by that before. And it looks like there's actually some ramps on the map. So in fact, let's go ahead and zoom. Oh, that's not working very well at all. This is trying to zoom in. Anyway, we can kind of zoom in a little bit here and see that there are some ramps, leading out of the natural. So so that's what's going with 8:15. And anyway, 4-player map. Ramps leading down out of the natural. There's some islands on the sides, and there's also some, I don't know if you'll call them islands, but some separated bases in the middle of the map as well. So theoretically, getting some sort of drop ship or whatever to get on those islands could be something that's important in the late game on this map. We also have Pioneer Period, which I am not very familiar with at all. I haven't seen a ton of games on this map, but as you can see, it's only it's 4-spawn map, and there's a lot of neutral buildings separating the different parts of the map. But if you look closely, you'll see there is nothing blocking a direct route into each other's main bases from the beginning of the game. The neutral buildings are just hiding other expansions around the outsides of the map, and you can kill off temples in your main to go into the sides, or you can go out into the middle of the map and then kill off some look like little neutral supply depots or radar dishes or whatever to get into the sides as well. So very interesting map where there's a lot of going on in different places with regards to destructible terrain that you can get into other parts of the map. But you can take a natural expansion without getting out of there if you want to. But you also have a very small choke point on this map, so you can theoretically wall off that choke and be more defended, and if you can get into the other sides that are also defended, you can kind of defend that way. But air can be very important on this map. So Rush Hour is another one of the maps, very classic map, 3-person map, very twisty, turny, windy map, lots of space, but you can see there's ridges, or not ridges, but gaps in between them. So it looks almost like just a flat plain, but there's so many different gaps in between controlling the land mass, the land armies, that it makes you kind of play around that a lot. And very easy natural expansion, but it's very wide open as well. And then the 3rd and 4th bases are very difficult to get on this map because they're kind of going to be far afield from where you are, and then you're going to be vulnerable to counterattacks on the other side as well. So, but it's a 3-person map, which is kind of cool. There's not very many 3-person maps. We also have the Eye. Another 4-person map here, or I should say 4-spawn map, because these are all the 1v1 maps. We haven't gotten to the 2v2 maps yet. So these are all 1v1 maps. The Eye, I guess, is probably called that because there's like a eye sort of shaped thing in the middle, and maybe it's Eye of the Storm reference of some kind. Again, a kind of a tricky situation. You can kind of see, where you've got a main base, you've got a ramp down to your natural expansion. The natural expansion is kind of a little bit open, and then there's a wide ramp leading up into the middle of the map. So kind of difficult to defend, and it's easy to get contained, but there's also a third that's also on your low ground, right? So if you can somehow get up to the high ground there and take control of the high ground, you can control that third. But very easy to get contained on this map as well. So it's kind of an interesting thing to think about. And the last 1v1 map we have for round 1 is Arcadia, which is another 4-spawn map. And again, this one is going to be a little bit more based for macro play, I think, because as you can see, there's kind of a easy to hold third, which is mineral only. But you can get that third, and you just have 1 choke point to defend your 3 bases, and so you can get off to a pretty good start that way. And there's islands on the sides as well for extra gas expansions and just extra expansions in general. So potentially a lot of macro games on this map. So the 2v2 maps we have are Full Moon, which we can see right here is a 6-spawn map, I guess. So there's potential for a lot of different combinations. I actually am not sure if you are. I don't think you're guaranteed to spawn near your ally or anything like that. But as you can see, you've got a main, and then there's just 1 bridge heading out to a natural. So very easy to hold your main. But your natural expansion is completely difficult to defend. It's mineral only. And above, there's a high ground above it, and there's a ramp leading up out of it. So it's very easy to camp behind an opponent's natural expansion and shell down into it. I wouldn't be surprised if people actually took another main as one of their expansions if they had an opportunity to do so. But in 2v2s, you very rarely see expansions anyway. And if you do, it's because the players are pretty far ahead and they can afford to hold it. So anyway, but that's kind of plays into that. But very easy to hold your main on that bridge. It's not a ramp, though. It is only a bridge, so it might be a little bit more difficult, but that's something to keep in mind. And then we have Iron Curtain. Iron Curtain. And this is a very interesting map. It's 4 spawns, and so it's 2 for each team. And there's just a line down the middle. There's an iron curtain, I guess, down the middle of both rocks and minerals. So you can actually mine out the minerals, but there's no land access between the left and right sides of the map. And I believe you're not guaranteed to spawn on the same side of the map as your ally. I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out when the games get started. The first 2v2 maps games that we see, we'll see that. I'm not actually certain, but so you could end up as a 1v1 and a 1v1 on each side of the map, or it could end up as a 2v2 where you have left versus the right, and it's an air map basically in a way where people are going to get drop ships. And of course you can mine out the middle. Those are actually bases as well. You can see there's gas geysers there as well, so you can actually take those as expansions if you wanted to, or you could just try and mine out the mineral there. I think those are full on minerals there. Again, I don't have time to like load up all these maps and check them out in detail, so I'm just trying to give an overview here, but at the very least you can kind of see what's going on with this. But I'm pretty sure those are full minerals, and so it's not gonna be like super easy to mine that out, but sometimes you have that in the late game. So anyway, so that's all the round 1 maps that we have. Again, there's a few of those are staying the same. A few of them are going to be different. So the new 1v1 maps in round 2 are Tau Cross, very, very famous map with the 3 spawn locations, and small choke leading into natural, medium choke leading out into the rest of the world. And your third base, your closest third base is really wide open, a lot of attack angles, so hard to hold that third base if it gets to that point in the game. But also just a very festive wintry map, nice seasonal map here for us to be casting some games on. Another one is Longinus, and another 3 spawn map, very interesting, and again very interesting construction. A medium choke leading out of your natural, a medium choke leading out into the rest of the world. But again, on this one, the third base is very, very difficult to hold. You can see that there's a high ground with ramp. There's a big high ground in the middle. It's a triangle, and each edge of the triangle is leading towards one of the spawns, third bases, where there's multiple ramps and high grounds leading down into that. So it's very difficult to hold the third base on this map if you're being aggressed upon. But of course you can if you have map control. And then there's, of course, again, island expansions as well. Actually, no, are those islands? Or no, I'm sorry, there's ramps up to those. But the ramps only lead in from one side, and so they're a little bit protected in a sense that you can't. There's no back way into those expansions. Arkanoid is another map with plenty of destructible neutral buildings to get out into the rest of the world. And I'm wondering, by the way, someone was in my Twitch chat the other day asking, what's that one map with the destructible buildings? And I don't know if this is it, but there's plenty in this map pool. So maybe if I don't remember who that was, but whoever there is watching, maybe they're figuring out what that map was they were trying to think of. Anyway, Arkanoid, you're basically, you can see your spawn point is completely protected from the outside world. You have to destroy buildings to get out, but it's hard to see on this map because you can just see the dots, but there's actually 4 neutral, I don't know what they are, Zerg buildings of some kind that have creep around them in the spot where your expansions would be. So you actually have to kill those off in order to get your expansions in the right spot. If you're Terran or Protoss, you have to kill them to get your building at all in the right spot. If you're Zerg, you can still put your other hatchery on the creep, but it's kind of off the spot you'd want, and so basically it's hard to get the gas and the minerals at the same time without killing those things. So it's like you're protected from the rest of the world, but you can't just macro because you kind of have to get some units to kill those neutral Zerg buildings in order to take your expansions very well at all. And then of course this could lend to dropship play, or it could lend to a ground play if players decide to actually kill off the buildings in the middle. They're not stacked or anything like that, so you know there are a lot of hit points, but you can get, once you have a decent army, you can get through those buildings in the middle, and you can actually kill off all of those and get a ground access to your opponent as well. And then last we have Blitz, which is a really interesting 1v1 map. It's symmetrical, and it's left versus right basically, and as you can see you've got a natural expansion that looks fairly normal, but then you've got this area in the middle where there's the potential third bases that are right next to each other, and there's minerals in the middle of the two of you. So, and they're just a little bit of minerals, so you can actually mine those out to open up a land route. So it's kind of like there's a land route across the middle that can be opened up. There's a land route a little bit lower than that as well, and there's a land route across the bottom as well, going through more expansions. So it's a very interesting map where you have players building down the sides and then meeting in the middle, and it can be very, very interesting kind of stuff going on with this map. So that is the Blitz. And then the other 2v2 map, the Iron Curtain map, is taken out in the part 2, and the other 2v2 map is Vampire, and this is the 2v2 map. Only 4 spawns, so you know exactly where your opponents are going to spawn when you spawn in, and it's just sort of a normalish map. Wait, is this the right one? Is this the 2v2 map? I think it is, right? Yeah. And it looks very similar to one of the other maps that I pulled up a minute ago, and so that's why I'm like a little confusing myself a bit. But just kind of normal stuff here. No islands, no wacky wall in the middle or anything like that. This is just gonna be a straight up 2v2 map. Natural expansion is pretty easy to take, but again, wide open around it. Again, there's no ramp into your main, but there's a very defendable choke point. So, you know, often 2v2s end up with a lot of attacking early on and a lot of aggression. And so all of these, you can see all these maps are accounting for that by making it so that there's pretty defendable mains at the very least. And the naturals are harder to hold, so it's kind of a risk. So anyway, all right, well, that's gonna do it for the maps. And let me just doot, and where's the map overview? Here it is. So again, here's all the maps again. Should be fun. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. A little bit of a long one, but again, I wanted to kind of cover all the maps in detail at the very least, just to kind of make sure that we knew exactly what was going on, that there weren't any weird, also for myself, to like review for myself, so I don't end up like I have a few times where I'm like casting a game and I'm like halfway through it and I'm like, wait a minute, this is an island map, what's going on here? And now that I'm going back to the screen, I'm noticing that my little lines are not quite symmetrical on the other sides, but oh well, that's okay. Like I said, sorry about that, but I didn't have a ton of time to make this, so I kind of threw it together. But hopefully you got the main point of it, which was the format of the Pro League Championship and which game's going to be doing. So I'm going to be starting off with NBC Game versus KTF Magic Ends on the round 1 side, and then the winner of that versus Seoul, and the winner of that versus Telecom, and then the other side as well. So I've got this whole series, and you know, it's just basically it's hopefully it's more fun as well for you guys to have a series to follow, but it's just easier for me also to kind of know what I'm casting. So, because it's actually can sometimes take a fair amount of time to pick what games I want to do and get them ready. But in this case, I have them all downloaded. I have them all ready to go. And they're all really, really terrible quality, by the way, of course, from 2006, VODs from 2006. So I apologize for that ahead of time. But yeah, but we should have some fun watching these old games. And one of the cool things about this is, I probably should mention this at the beginning, but one of the cool things about this series is that it's 2006, and so it's kind of a cool transition point where you've got a lot of the old school legendary players still playing. You know, you got Gorosh and Uv and Boxer and all those guys, but then you also have the new school players playing as well. You've got Stork and you've got Savior and you've got Bisu on these teams playing also. So it's a really interesting transition point between what I kind of think of as the early period and then the like middle period or late period of the Kespa Korean Starcraft scene. And so that'll be fun to see the kind of mixing of those different players as well in these different team games. So anyways, this video has probably gone on very long now. I don't know how much it's going to be. Oh, it's been 20 minutes, 21 minutes. That's a long time. It's been a long time looking at those maps, I guess. Anyway, yeah, but hope you guys enjoyed it, and it's helpful for thinking of the next games. And I should be uploading the first game very soon after this goes up, hopefully immediately after this goes up. So if you're watched all the way through this introduction and you're like, now I really want to watch some games, well, there should be one available by the time you finish watching this. And again, I'm going to be doing this basically throughout. I'm going to be traveling a lot during the middle winter, between mid-December and mid-January. And so, but I'm going to be hopefully able to get these games up throughout the season somewhat consistently. And so you'll have some games to enjoy along the way. All right. Yeah, so that's going to do it for me. I've been all rambling for a while now anyway, so I'll leave it at that. And thanks for watching. Take care. Happy holidays.